This is an ordinary number. It's quite long, difficult to read, and sometimes can be difficult to copy down one from another. I'm going to convert this ordinary number into a much easier format called standard form. Standard form is a number that has an initial number between the values of 1 and 10. It's then multiplied by 10 to a power that will then turn it back into its ordinary number if required. Using the figures of the number I've got, I have 2, 4, 7. If I was going to turn those numbers into a number between 1 and 10, I've got a number of choices as to where to put my decimal point. If I put it there, my number would be far greater than 10. If I put it here, my number would be less than 1. So by putting my decimal point here, I can comply with this part of the formula, a number between 1 and 10. The power that I now give to my multiply by 10 is dependent on how many times I moved my decimal point from my ordinary number to this point here. My decimal point starts at the end of the number, and I'm going to count the jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jumps to move it to its place between the 2 and the 4. That means I'm going to multiply my 10 to the power of 6. To recap, I'll do that with my next number. 9, 2, 8. My decimal point needs to go there to comply with being a number between 1 and 10. Starting my decimal point at the end of the number here, I'm going to jump it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces to bring it between the 9 and the 2. Multiplied by 10 to the power 5. Now I'm going to go back the other way from a standard form number to an ordinary number. If I start off with my decimal point in between my 3 and my 6, I need to move it 4 spaces and fill any gaps with zeros in order to create my ordinary number. The first jump is where the decimal point jumps over the 6, so I have no space to fill. My second jump, third jump and fourth jumps all create a space that I need to fill with a 0. So my ordinary number is 36 with 3 zeros, which if I put my comma there, it's easy to see is 36,000. I'm now going to write a very small number in standard form. I've got to count how many times I would need to move my decimal point in order to make these figures a number between 1 and 10. If I'm using the numbers 3, 6, 2, I want my decimal point to appear between the 3 and the 6. So I need to move my decimal point 1, 2, 3 places to indicate that it's going to go between the 3 and the 6. So I'm multiplying by 10 to a power 3. But you'll notice the decimal point is travelling in the opposite direction. It's making the number in this instance from a very small number to a bigger number. I therefore have to make this power 3 negative to indicate the direction of the movement of the decimal point. To recap, I'll show you that again. This time my number is 1024 and I need my decimal point to be here. I'm going to move my original decimal point therefore 1, 2, 3 spaces, so this number is multiplied by 10 to the power minus 3. And again, converting from standard form to an ordinary number, I first of all note I have a negative index number. So that means I'm creating a very small number. So when I'm doing my working, I'm going to place my number over to the right hand side of my page, 4.21. Because I'm now going to move this decimal point to the left 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where my decimal point should be. Now to finish off that number, I'm going to put a 0 in front of the decimal point, and in the place of each arch, each space goes a 0. So my ordinary number is 0.000421. And to recap, I now have 6.3 times 10 to the power minus 5. So 6.3, and I'm moving that decimal point 5 spaces to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My decimal point appears here, a 0 in front and a 0 in every jump I've made to move it. My ordinary number therefore is 0.000063. When multiplying standard form numbers, we can use a calculator like here. However, when you key in a number that's in standard form, you must use this specific standard form button down here at the bottom of your calculator. So we'll key in 3.6, press the standard form button, and then put in the power of 10. Now, as you can see, as it comes out on the calculator display, it's not easily read, but that does say 3.6 times 10 to the power 2. And I'm going to multiply that by 4.3 times 10 to the power 3, keyed in the same way. When I press the equals button, you'll see my answer has come up as an ordinary number. $1,548,000. So if I then get that as my answer, but my question says give your answer in standard form, I've now got to go from that and convert it back to my standard number. So my numbers are 1548. My decimal point will go here to make a number between 1 and 10. So I'm moving the decimal point that would appear at the end of the number to this position here, which is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jumps times 10 to the power 6. At first glance, these 3 numbers might look like standard form, but none of them are. We can't have a power in standard form that is not a whole number. So this is not standard form and it can't be converted into standard form. This number doesn't comply with standard form rules because this 27.4 is greater than 10. I can turn this into a standard form number by making that 2.74. But I'd have to adjust my index here to make it 10 to the power 4. In my third example, this number is smaller than 1. So again, this number doesn't comply to standard form. I can adjust it by moving the decimal point to make that number 10 times bigger. If I do that, I have to make my indices 10 times smaller. These two numbers, just as these two numbers, have the same value, but this is standard form and this is not.